thanks for coming along today, Amy.
No worries.
Have you enjoyed yourself?
It was fabulous. High tea. What's not to love?
Yeah, true.
That punch was gorgeous as well.
It was very nice. And the whole lot was quite nice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're just going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
So we just, honest answers as you can would be great.
Sure.
So what do you like about the genre that you write, and what genre do you write?
Okay, so I guess I mainly write contemporary romance. I like the contemporary themes. I like the use of contemporary language and pop culture references and the more modern aspects of human relationships that come across in those books.
Okay. Do you plot or do you just go with the flow?
I'm a bit of an in-betweener. I like to plot some and then go with the flow. So I like to have some kind of a minimal structure and then go for it. Although I do tend to, as I'm going along, add to that structure. As I'm writing and thinking of other things, I'll quickly make jotted notes down in this very loose structure. So by the end of it, it's actually a lot more fuller than it was at the beginning. But I tend to fall in between plotter and pantser.
Okay, so do you know what characters you're going to write, or do they sort of like talk to you?
No, I know the characters I'm going to write. I pretty much have them in my head. So I know the big things.
Yeah.
I know I know the big things, and I know what the story's about. But the intricacies of that is what you kind of, can sometimes surprise you even as you go along.
Okay. So what sort of authors do you read or do you admire?
I read. We're going to get back shortly. One of my favourite authors is Jennifer Crusie. As anybody who knows me knows that. I also am a huge fan of Kelly Hunter and Sarah Maybury. And my latest Australian author that I really love is Madeline Ash. And I've just recently discovered Victoria Dahl, who I absolutely adore as well. And then there's, there are a lot of other sort of authors around about that I've read and I've loved as well. They're the ones I can think of off the top of my head really quickly.
So what's your favourite thing about being a romance author?
Favourite thing about being a romance author? I like spending all day writing about love.
Yeah.
And making people happy writing about love. To me, there's just nothing better than that happy sigh at the end of a romance novel.
Yep, so you always give them a happy ending?
Always.
Always?
Absolutely, always. Otherwise, it's just not romance, is it?
That's right. And it's all fictional, so if you get the happy ending, you're happy.
Well, that's right, and people can make up in their own heads what happens after the happily ever after. But for me, that's that. It's like watching a romantic movie. At the end where the music swells and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's why I write romance.
Okay. Do you remember the first either romance novel or the first novel that you read?
I don't remember the name of the first romance novel that I read, but I know it would have been an early 80s Harlequin, Mildemoon, sexy red book. One of my mother's sort of numbers would have been like a Carol Mortimer or an Anne Mather or a Charlotte Lamb, one of that sort of ilk of people.
Okay. What kinds of books did you like and love as a child?
As a child, I really read a lot of different sort of stuff as a child. I read a lot of Edith Martin sort of stuff. I read a lot of different sort of stuff. I don't really remember a lot of books as a child. I read a lot of Enid Blyton, we had a lot of those. Anna Green Gables, my mother introduced me to Anna Green Gables, so she read them to me and then I read them myself. I really remember reading Charlotte's Web as a child. And then as I was sort of moving into my early teens again, it was sort of Mums, Mills and Moons, it was Sweet Valley High, lots of crime. I went through a phase where I read lots of Alison McLean and I'd find an author that I loved and I would just like read all their backlists. So.
Okay, so what's next for you? Do you plan to branch out to maybe something a little bit different?
I'm writing a rugby series for Entangled's Brazen Line. So Rugby Union, that's what it's going to occupy most of this year. I'm also looking at writing some small town / rural romance for Mirror this year as well. So I'll pretty much always, I think, write long contemporary lines.
Yeah.
I wrote a sort of a semi kind of paranormal-y, detective-y novel last year, and there's a couple of more books in that series to go, so we'll finish those. That's my only kind of deviation from my general kind of contemporary line.
Yeah. Okay. And did you enjoy the high tea today and the intimate feel of it?
I love the high tea. I loved, the food was obviously lovely, and the room is, incredible. You feel like you've been transported back in time. I feel like we've all been wearing ball gowns and fluttering fans and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was nice to be able to talk to a small group of people and all just chat. And, yeah, it was great. It was really, really well done.
And how do you like being part of ARA?
Oh, we love ARA. ARA is a fabulous organisation. I love that there's these sort of two organisations in Australia, one for writers, one for readers, and they complement each other really, really well. I like that ARA's focuses on readers, and because ultimately I might be a writer, but I'm also first and foremost a reader.
Yep.
So to have something that caters for me and for my reading is fabulous.
Thank you very much for your time today, Amy.